this video, I'm going to be transforming this room from an echo chamber to a great sounding vocal booth without spending a dime. Improving the sound of your space goes a long way in making your recordings sound more professional and your job mixing them much easier. The problem is professional acoustic panels tend to be expensive, and a lot of DIY musicians like ourselves don't have money to spend on professional acoustic panels. The good news is that you actually don't need professional acoustic panels. You can use soft stuff that you have lying around to make your room sound significantly better. And what do I mean by sound better? Well, if you notice in this recording where there's no acoustic treatment, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of room noise, which is the reverberations and the echoes that you're hearing. So the microphone is picking up the voice directly, but also the voice after it's echoed and bounced and reverberated all throughout the room. And so this ends up being difficult when you're mixing and sounds unprofessional. Now, room noise isn't always bad. There are really nice sounding rooms, but in a room of this size and shape, the room noise is bad and we want to get rid of as much of it as we can. And that's where we need to use big, thick, soft things to help absorb some of those sounds. I'm going to show you exactly how I transformed this room, but first, if you're interested in DIY music making or filmmaking, then check out the link in the description. It will take you to a guide which will walk you step by step through recording your own music, including the gear you need, as well as step by step through filming your first music video. Now, I already have a decent sounding studio space set up. I have a vocal booth just off camera here behind me where I do my recording, and it works fairly well and gets me some good sounding recordings. But I wanted to show you guys that you don't need a vocal booth, you don't need a fancy studio setup to get some great sounding recordings. So I picked the worst room in my house, which is this vanity area off the bathroom. It's bad for 3 reasons. First of all, it's a small room. Small rooms are just bad. Part of the reason is because they end up being mostly corner, and corners are where frequencies, especially the bass frequencies, tend to build up. So this is a small room, which is not ideal. Also, this room is nearly square, which is also not ideal. Perfectly square rooms are not what you want. You're going to have extra resonant frequency problems with a square room. So this room's nearly square, which is problematic. And finally, and perhaps worst of all, this room has bare walls. And to make it even worse, it has a big mirror, which is even more reflective yet than the walls. So it's a tiny room, it's nearly square, and it has bare walls, the 3 worst things that you could ask for. To get rid of these reverberating frequencies that make this room a loud room and a bad option to record in, we need something to absorb the extra frequencies. Really, anything thick and soft is going to absorb these extra frequencies. The key here is, though, that we want it to be thick. So you might have seen these foam panels that I have behind me. These are very thin and honestly don't do much good at all. I think they look cool, but they don't do much actual good when it comes to absorbing frequencies. They will just absorb some of the higher frequencies, but usually the problems are in the mid to low frequencies anyways, and these thin panels are not going to absorb those. So I have some thicker panels off camera which are solving some of my problems for me. So that means that we can't just drag thin sheets and blankets. Now, if it's a big thick comforter or something like that, that might do it, but I'm going for things at least 3, 4, 5 inches thick, or even thicker, starting with my mattress. This is a thick mattress and it's big. It's going to cover most of this wall and it's going to absorb a whole bunch of those problem frequencies. Let's do a quick test. Here's the untreated room with my camera's built-in microphone, and yes, I'll get to a studio microphone test later on. In this video, I'm going to be transforming this room. And now here we have it after I dragged the mattress in. Here's some test audio with just a mattress dragged in. You can hear that already makes a significant difference. But let's take it a step further. We have this mirror in here, which is problematic, so let's get some couch cushions to cover that up. I just dragged these off the couch in our living room, so if you come over this evening, you're going to have to sit on the floor because the cushions are in the bathroom. And here's another test with my camera microphone. And here's some test audio with the couch cushions. I have a beanbag laying around yet, so I'm going to put that in the corner, and we'll see if that makes any noticeable difference yet. Here's some test audio with couch cushions, a mattress, and a beanbag. Okay, so just simply dragging in a mattress, some couch cushions, and a beanbag has made a remarkable difference. Now let's upgrade from the camera's built-in microphone to a studio microphone and let's do some before and afters. So first of all, here's a studio microphone with an untreated room. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can hear that it's better than the camera microphone. Obviously, it's a much more expensive mic, so it's going to be better. But even a good mic in a bad room still picks up that nasty room sound. So let's compare them back to back. Untreated room. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you're just listening on your phone speakers, the difference might not be as apparent, but if you put some headphones on or something, you'll notice that there's a significant difference between those two sounds. And that difference is going to make your job in mixing quite a bit easier. All that room sound and that buildup of frequencies is just a nightmare when you're trying to mix, especially when you start layering multiple tracks on top of each other. You end up with all sorts of problems. Here's what I want you to notice. I took a very unscientific approach to this. When professionals are treating a high-end studio, they take a very scientific approach to it, and they're doing measurements and calculations, and there's a reason that they do that, but simply throwing some soft, thick stuff into a room makes a difference. You can probably get 80 or 90% of the way there without doing anything scientific, with just simply putting some thick, soft stuff in your space. So start with that. There's always time down the road to take a more scientific approach and figure out the exact amount of acoustic treatment and where you want it located and all of that. But just start with putting thick, soft stuff in your space, and it's going to improve the quality of your recordings. You can do it for free if you use stuff lying around the house. However, your wife might be less than thrilled about the idea of the bed mattress and the couch cushions being in the studio all the time, and so just look around, go to garage sales or check out Facebook Marketplace, and you can pick up some used mattresses or couch cushions for very cheap, if not free, and transform the sound of your recording space. If you want a step-by-step guide on how to record your own DIY music and film your own DIY music videos, check out the link in the description. It'll take you to a guide. And if you want to watch a video on how to film your own music videos, then watch this one next.